I'm up in Auckland. This is Queen Street over here. We're going to do some demonstration with my TV stand over there. So basically I'm just showing the standard practices of industries that abuse animals, like the dairy, meat and egg industry. So we're just going to see what happens, showing the public. And if anyone wants to stop and talk about it, we'll just have a conversation and go from there. All right. All the industries that abuse animals. So dairy, meat, eggs, leather, animal testing and stuff like that. Does this feel pretty normal to you?
Kind of does, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah? If I was showing dogs on there treated the same way, would that be pretty normal to you as well?
Nah.
Why not?
It's not really...
It's not a normal thing to pay for...
Not in our culture anyway.
Not in our culture, eh? Do you think there's any difference between those two kinds of animals? So let's say like a dog and a pig, for example. Pigs have the exact same intelligence level as a dog. Do you think there's any difference between those two animals that says we should kill this one and not kill this one?
No, of course not.
No.
It's just the way you're reared, isn't it?
Just the way we do it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that just because something's been happening for a long time means it's morally justified?
No, not at all.
Not at all, eh? So we've seen stuff in our past, examples like, you know, slavery, racism, sexism and stuff like that, you know? All of those things used to happen in the past. It was really normal back then. But we've progressed from there, haven't we?
You'd like to think so?
Well, yeah. Obviously, it's not all okay at the moment, but I think a decent enough of the majority of society thinks that those things are wrong, at least in Western culture. So this is a free-range farm over here.
Yeah, your free-range, organic fucking chicken, that doesn't mean shit, no?
So this is a free-range farm, like I said. The legal definition of free-range is this. And what happens on that farm is they have a high mortality rate on them. So the chickens that die won't even make it to your plate when you're buying it, some of them. Obviously, there are better examples of it. This is what legally has to happen for a company to put free range on the label for you. The thing is, those labels aren't put there to make the animals feel better, obviously.
Just make you feel better about eating it.
Exactly. It's the essence of marketing.
And don't get me wrong, I don't go chasing free-range chickens either, you know what I mean?
I never used to either. I never used to buy even free-range eggs. I didn't give a shit. I just thought about how cheap it was and stuff like that. If you were to put yourself in that animal's position, what would you want someone to do for you? Would you want them to eat free-range? Would you want them to...
The free-range doesn't mean a fucking thing, does it?
Exactly.
Good that you're showing us.
Thank you.
No, really good.
Yeah.
It's terrible, actually. I know, because I've been part of that life for a while.
Oh, yeah. But would you say that you're against animal abuse?
Yeah, massively.
Massively?
Yeah.
Cool.
I treat that the same as any sort of child or man, woman or child, you know what I mean?
Wow, okay. That's really strong. Do you think that you could truly be against animal abuse while supporting industries that abuse animals like this?
Not really, but...
No. So if I was saying, like, you know, I'm against dog abuse, but I'm going to go to the dog meat festival in China and start buying some dogs from them, that wouldn't make sense for me to say, right?
No, it wouldn't, but...
Yeah.
Well,
No matter how humane you do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I, you know...
But what if I stop tomorrow?
What do you mean?
What if I just stop tomorrow?
Then you wouldn't be supporting animal abuse, right? Like if you're not buying the products...
But are these guys going to stop because I stop eating a bit of chicken?
Not on a massive scale, but the thing is, if I don't stop being racist, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to stop being racist, right? Do you think that's a good enough justification for me to be a racist?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely something to think about, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Thanks, brother.
buddy. All right.
Cheers.
Take it easy.
You think that's fucked up? How does it make you feel, like, watching the stuff that I'm showing you? Pretty shit. Would you say that you guys, like, are against animal abuse, or?
I don't know. I've never met anyone that's for animal abuse.
Me neither.
Actually, that's not true, but like...
Yeah, no, straight up, that's really truthful. I've never met anyone who openly says, like, you know, yeah, animal abuse, I don't give a shit, or anything like that.
It is like, you can't say that you're against animal abuse if you're not like actively doing something about it, because like It's literally with everything.
I don't know about actively doing something about it. I think the first step, and the question I'm going to ask you guys is, do you think that you can be against animal abuse while supporting industries that abuse animals? Yes or no?
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like your actions and your opinions are two different things.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
People can just think one thing and do another.
Yeah,
But
that
at
happens
the
a
end
lot.
Of the day, like it is.
Your actions determine your values, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, you've never met anyone who says they're for animal abuse,
I mean,
right?
yeah.
Not,
but
yeah, not
like,
really, not realistically. But this happens worldwide
yeah.
on such a large scale that it shouldn't happen if people are
Do you
against
think
animal
it's
abuse,
more
right?
like desensitized in New Zealand than other places because of our farming culture?
I think it's desensitized everywhere because when's the last time you ever saw something like this being even promoted,
Not promoted, but
even in the media?
Yeah.
Hardly ever, right? We're never encouraged to think about these things. What happens when you turn on the TV? You see ads for McDonald's, KFC, chicken nuggets on sale, all of those things.
You've just got it.
Awesome. No, she's vegan. That chick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know people who say like, oh, like I only get free range stuff because blah blah blah. Like I want to protect the animals.
Yeah.
Like,
Caged
Even
is
so.
like free range is shit, but caged is like on another
Even,
level.
yeah, it's on a way another level. And that's something I never used to think about. I never used to get free range anything. I never used to buy free range eggs. I only thought about what was cheapest and easiest for me to get
yeah.
until I learned about these kind of things, right? So yeah. What do you think is the solution to this?
Like obviously you want to say like, just stop buying this shit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
It has to come from the top as well.
You think so?
Because like, I think vegan culture and things are like becoming a lot stronger. Like,
Oh, yeah.
especially like next to my work, there's like a plant-based eatery and that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, you know, like, if there was a code of, like, a higher code of ethics
Yeah.
set in place, then
Yeah.
obviously that's going to reduce a bit more harm and also make people think about it a bit more. Because if you've got officials telling you, like, animals are being abused, let's do something about it,
Yeah.
people are more likely to listen. And also, it's a generational thing.
Yeah. So the generational thing, I think we've seen that with our progression of things like racism and sexism as well.
Yeah.
And that didn't come into fruition from the government until the people decided as a community that it was wrong, right?
Yeah.
So you had extremists like me and people who were fighting for women's rights and
I
black
mean,
rights, you know?
There's like a guy down there with like a Jacinda as a spy and like government side.
Yeah.
So like, I think there's like two different types of it.
Yeah, definitely. But when it comes to this is normal, right?
Yeah.
In the eyes of the law and society, like, I was just talking to a guy who got a chicken burger just before he had a chat with me. And he was one of those people who was like, you know, oh, it's better to get free range, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's not going to be when you're getting it from McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think you guys can do about this issue as individuals?
I mean, going vegan is one step.
Yeah.
But also creating conversations with people. Like
Oh, yeah.
What you're doing, like if we have an extensive friend group and we're like, guys, this is what we have to do, then at least you know, and then it spreads more.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way to start. But I think the first, most crucial step is, like you said, going vegan, because if we're talking about another injustice like racism, if I was an avid racist and I'd be like talking to my friends, like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense, right?
Yeah.
You're like, guys, do you think we should start treating Asian people better? And we're like, dude, you're a racist. What are you up to? Focusing today is like the message of why it's so important we do this. Because, like I said, if you guys are against animal abuse, it doesn't make sense to support industries that abuse animals, eh? And if you think, like, if you were an animal in that situation, what would you guys want someone to do for you?
Yeah.
Do you want them to go vegan or just continue to live the way they have? That's pretty much it. What do you think you guys will do walking away from this conversation? Do you think you will change your values and your actions to line up together, or?
I will say I was on my way to get the
Yeah, we were
dirtiest cheeseburger.
Yeah, I was about to say we're gonna go
Like,
get
you have
some.
no idea. I'm so hungover right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, gonna get those carbs in me. That
Yeah.
disgusting, cage beef. Oh, but honestly.
But if there's
probably
if there's another option, would you go for it? Because there's like
100%.
there's an app called Happy Cow, and it shows you all the vegan options in the area. Yeah, it's like a thing. Do you want to check it on your phone?
What is it?
It's called Happy Cow.
I mean, I will say now after this, I'm feeling a tank boost.
Yeah,
Opposed to
yeah,
Happy Cow.
yeah. Happy Cow.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one. Let's see. That should be it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's got them all in Auckland as well. But yeah, like you know about those kind of like food places and options you have. And the thing is, like, if there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah.
So before, you didn't have any reason not to go to Macca's and get a, decent as cheeseburger or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, when you think about this, there's your reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iffy about things that we have domesticated.
Yeah, yeah. But it doesn't really make sense, right? Like, with a dog and a pig, do you think there's any difference between those two animals that say we should kill one but not the other?
Absolutely not. My
Nothing,
mate used
right?
to live on a farm. She had like little piglets in her house. It was very cute.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, obviously it's a farm, so they go to the slaughterhouse once they're raised to a certain weight. It would be quite ridiculous as a society to think that that would be normal for you to do the same with a dog.
Yeah.
Like keep a dog until it's big enough to eat it, right?
Yeah.
That's just, even when I'm saying that's weird.
And that's crazy that they actually do that some places.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a whole festival for it. In Yulin in China,
Yeah, yeah.
they have a whole festival for dog meat. And it's pretty bad because they will like boil the dogs alive because of like it pumps them with adrenaline and they say it makes the meat taste better or whatever. And I guess like it's pretty sick, but if you think about it, it's kind of like the same concept as foie gras. Have you guys heard of foie gras? Foie gras is the liver of force-fed ducks. So what they do is they get the duck farms and they like force feed them like a tube. The metal tube goes down their throat and they force feed them. And they they get so huge. And the only thing they're doing is for their fatty liver gets. I mean, I've had it before because I used to be a chef. And yeah, it tastes really nice. But when you think about it, I'm paying for someone to torture an animal because I want to eat good food. And so what I did was I watched a debate video of someone called Joey Carbstrong. He used to do this kind of stuff. He would show footage to the public and debate with them. And I just thought logically, like, okay, why are we doing this to animals? Because it tastes nice. Is taste a good enough justification to kill an animal?
yeah, it
No.
really doesn't even make you that happy. Like food makes you happy. It can literally be any kind of food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's the end of the day, it's pleasure, right? But we would never justify like doing something horrible to someone because you benefit from it yourself, right? And it gets really crazy when you swap out what kind of pleasure it is, right? So there was a footage of me showing pigs getting lowered into gas chambers because that's what they do. They lower them into CO2 gas and it burns them from the inside out, basically. And that's like the most humane method of stunning the pigs before they get their throats sliced open. But this guy brought up the example, right? I would pay someone to do that because screaming gives me pleasure. Now, how psychopathic does that sound, right? But there's no difference from the pleasure I get from hearing it to the pleasure I get from eating it. Yeah. Probably quite a few things to think about tonight, eh, guys? Well, you're hungover, so yeah. It's probably not something you're gonna jump into, eh?
Oh my god. What have I been doing?
Yeah, yeah. Can I give you a resource to look into? Just to like, just chuck it in your phone. It's just a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's called The Greatest Speech You'll Ever Hear. It's by a guy called Gary Yourofsky. It's got like 4 million views on YouTube or something. basically he just talks about like, you know, the moral imperative to go vegan, pretty much. And it just gives you a deeper explanation about it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you have the chance, give it a watch and see what you think.
Yeah, well,
Sure, bro.
well, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having a conversation with me. See you guys.
Have a good one.
You too. What your idea of free range in your head looks like? So when you think of free range chicken in the supermarket, do you think that's what it should look like? What do you think it should look like?
Healthy.
Healthy. So that's pretty much what they're selling you. Because the thing is, a lot of these chickens die on the farm. So the chickens that die aren't even the ones that make it to your plate at the end of the day, right? So, like if you're buying one chicken breast or anything.
Are you saying those are the chickens we get from the supermarket?
Yep. And it's even worse than that if it's not free range, right? Because not many people do buy free range in the first place.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going out to eat at restaurants and stuff. People say free range is more ethical, but I haven't heard anyone say, I'm not going to eat that because that's not free range. No one ever says that, right?
Yeah.
It's like stuff like if you're buying your chicken from Countdown and stuff like that, which most people are, like this is pretty much it. So what I'm actually showing here is footage of all the industries that abuse animals.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much everything from chicken, fish, eggs, and dairy and stuff like that. With the dairy industry especially, not many people think that they do anything bad to the cows. And it's like, you know, vegetarians, they watch slaughterhouse footage and they're like, oh, this is why I'm vegetarian, right? But over here what they're doing, do you know why he's taking the baby away from the mother? Yeah.
Wait, why are they taking it? Are they killing it?
So these are dairy cows, okay? So they're made to produce milk, right? So if the babies drink the milk, then that's less milk for the farmer to sell, right? So that's why they have to do that. Yeah, because otherwise the babies will drink all the milk. But as you can see, like the mothers, they really care about their babies and they chase after them. And yeah, this is what happens if they're males. So for all the males that are born from dairy cows, they get killed. So would you guys say that like you're against animal abuse?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
100%.
Cool. Yeah, so do you think that you could truly be against animal abuse while supporting industries that abuse animals?
Yeah.
You think so? So, in that same space, like, if I said, you know, I'm against dog abuse, like personally,
Yeah.
would it make sense that I go and buy dog meat off someone and still say that I'm against dog abuse?
Wait, what did you say?
So,
Say that sentence.
yeah. So if I say like I'm against dog abuse,
Yeah.
would it make sense if I went to a shop and bought dogs, like dog meat, to make a burger out of it?
No.
No, right? Yeah. And that's exactly the same thing when it comes to animals, right?
Yeah.
So when people say they're against animal abuse, and I've never met anyone who said they love animal abuse or they support it, it's the same thing. Like if you're buying from
Wait,
industries
are you
that,
saying that if we're kids anymore, you can go to the supermarket and buy
yeah. Well, I'm asking you because, what do you think? Do you think you can be against animal abuse while,
or eating the meat?
yeah,
I'm vegetarian.
you're vegetarian? Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah.
Well, for me, I went into vegetarian because of the burning in Australia.
The burning.
Yeah, the fire.
Oh, so you saw the like animals,
Yeah, the animals
oh, and you made that
stuff
connection.
So I was like, okay, that's it for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you kind of made the connection with meat as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say like the main reason why you went vegetarian is because of like the ethical point of it, right?
Yeah.
So, do you know why I'm showing footage of dairy and eggs here though?
Stop abusing animals.
Yeah. So, do you think that being vegetarian addresses the issue of animal abuse?
I think it depends on the person.
If you,
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
do you think like if you were that dairy cow, you know, producing milk for people and they're taking your baby away and killing your baby, do you think that's good enough for the animal? No. So what I'm actually promoting here is animal rights in the form of veganism, because like we've established, being vegetarian actually doesn't really address the issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, against animal abuse. What do you think you can do against it? What do you think you can do about it personally?
Become a vegan.
Yeah, pretty much. It's quite obvious, right?
We survive on plants.
and that's
We're gonna grow more plants in the environment.
well, pretty much. Like if we were to do it for the population, yeah, we've been growing more plants and stuff.
But do you think though it's easier for people to be vegan than to be vegetarian?
Easier how? Like in terms of options?
Yeah, in terms of options.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's easier to, it's obviously easier to be a vegetarian. It's easier to be an omnivore.
Some people find it hard because they think it's like eating meat for the rest of their life.
Oh yeah, totally. That was me. Like I used to be a chef. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I used to be a chef. So I ate everything under the sun every day. For the morning, I'd have like a pork sandwich. I'd have salmon. Then I'd have like 3 eggs a day. I'd have tons of chicken breast and stuff like that. So yeah, I get it. And yeah, it was convenient for me and all those things. But with going vegan, there's 2 types of people, right?
Yeah.
So there's the person who thinks about, how hard it's going to be for me changing my lifestyle and all those things. And then there's the person who uses their empathy and you think, if I was in that animal's position, what would I want someone to do for me, right? And then it becomes the easiest thing you've ever done in your life. Because how hard is it, if you were to go to China where they have the dog meat festival, how hard would it be for you to not eat a dog over there? Would it be hard for you?
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't be, it's just like, you just wouldn't even consider it, right?
Yeah. It wouldn't cross my mind.
Yeah. And with these animals that we farm, do you think there's any difference? Let's say, because pigs are very similar in intelligence to dogs, right?
Pigs is probably like my countries.
Yeah. And do you think there's any difference between a dog and a pig that says that we should kill one and not the other?
I think dog is quite different.
Yeah?
Because people treat them differently.
Oh, yeah,
from
yeah.
Pigs.
Yeah.
And I think because of the pigs you can eat.
So if no one were to tell you which one is okay to eat, would you know? Can you find that difference between the two?
Between the two?
Yeah.
I have never tasted any dog, so I don't know.
But what I'm saying is, like, let's say you grew up in a place where it's normal to eat dogs and stuff. How would you know that? Yeah, because people do grow up like that and they think, it is normal for people. Yeah. But if you come over here and you're the same, people would look at you like you're a freak, right?
Yeah.
So if no one were to tell you any of these things, if no one were to tell you this is normal or this is not normal, how would you know, depending on these 2 animals? Yeah. Do you think there's a difference that would tell you that this one's okay?
I would say dog would taste like chicken. You have eaten dog. That's why it was.
What are you talking about?
Because that's the main reason people are eating animals, because they taste nice, and that's the exact reason why I used to.
I was only into the chicken. I think that was my main.
The biggest thing that was kind of stopping you from going vegetarian or something? And then you saw the bushfire thing and you can like made the connection with that. Yeah. And now you have the opportunity to make a connection over here as well. I mean, I'm sure you didn't know about what happens in the dairy industry with that as well. And there's one more thing about eggs as well. So I understand it. At the moment, you're thinking like, there's There's like, I'm gonna have to change my diet. I'm gonna have to like take away all these things from myself. But if you think about it, like, if you were to know all of these things before you started eating them, you probably wouldn't have that, like, you wouldn't really care, right? So in the
should have had more resources about it.
yeah, and that's exactly why I'm here today, to try and teach people about it. Yeah,
I think that's my main thing is eggs.
probably the hardest thing, yeah.
So when you talk about eggs,
But with the eggs, what do you think's harder, being the animal that gets blended up?
I know it's harder for the animals.
It's harder for the animals, right? Yeah.
But it's harder for me because I eat it.
Yeah. So it goes to that question again, like, if that was you in that position, what would you want someone like you to do for you?
Don't eat me.
Don't eat me, right? Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, you'll never see these animals, and they don't have a voice. And that's what I'm here trying to do. I'm giving a voice for the animals, because if I were to tell you, right, like, oh, I'm gonna go home today, and I've got a blender, and I'm gonna put a little baby animal in there. What would you like? Yeah, you already have that reaction, right? It's already hard to hear and like hard to accept. But the thing is, like, if you're buying eggs, you're supporting an industry to do it on a mass scale, right? It's pretty, it is confronting, I'll admit, it is confronting to see this, but it kind of has to happen, right? Because if no one were to tell you about this, you would have never known that,
Oh no.
with the egg industry, the dairy industry and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's the first time I've seen how they treated her.
Yeah.
But then what protein you get though?
Eh?
Protein.
Protein. Oh, okay, you're worried about protein. So think about the biggest land animals that you know. Think about the biggest land animals that you know. Are they all carnivores or do they eat plants? Yeah, what's the biggest one you can think of? Land animal.
My head says elephant.
Yeah, elephant. Elephant. They don't eat meat, right? How do they get their protein? All protein originates from plants anyway. Yeah.
In my head, it's like I don't want to say it.
Isn't really a government issue. All of these things that you see on the screens here, it's perfectly legal to do. And the people who regulate it know about it. So the thing is, it's more of a supply and demand issue, right? Because this wouldn't be happening if people didn't pay for it. And the thing is, like we said before, these companies only care about money, right? So if you can produce something that's going to give them money, and it doesn't have to happen like this, why not do it, right? And that's pretty much exactly what happens when you're vegan, because you stop paying people to do all these things to animals, and you're buying other products. Yeah, exactly. They really do. They really do. And I eat quite a bit of, like, when I go out, I'm like, even though I'm vegan, I'm like, I want some meat, so I'll go get a burger and like cheeseburger and stuff. But yeah, the only difference is that there's no cruelty involved when you buy those products, right? Yeah. So what do you think you're gonna do walking away from this conversation? Do you think you would continue to live a life that abuses animals, or do you think that you could try and go vegan?
I'll try vegan. Yeah.
Cool.
It's hard in my family, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Since you can.
Definitely with the family thing, eh? I mean, I understand it because I've talked to this with my family. None of them are vegan, and it feels like you're the only one. But you know the real reason why you're doing it, and just because your family does it doesn't mean you would do it too, right? Yeah, with your vegetarianism. But anyway,
So since you're vegan, so what do you eat?
what do I eat?
Yeah, what do you? What's your meal?
I pretty much eat the same thing everyone else eats, but it's just without any cruelty, right? So burgers, pizza, pasta, all of the above, curry, stuff like that, pancakes, cake. There's a vegan alternative to like literally everything at the moment. But yeah.
Be a vegan.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like,
Let's go.
and the thing with trying, right? If I were talking about any other injustice, like sexism or racism, do you think those are things that we should try to reduce? Like, does that make sense for me to say that? We should try to reduce racism.
Yes, definitely.
Do you think it would make more sense to say we shouldn't be racist at all?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So that's basically like the separation. They shouldn't. Yeah.
It shouldn't be, I think.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what I wish. Like, I wish, in the future, I wouldn't even have to say I'm vegan because that would just be normal, right? Because I think, when a child is born, right, and they're quite young, and they start hurting an animal, people think that there's something wrong with them, right? But then we teach them that this is okay. It's kind of like pet the dog, kill the pig. But they don't explain why. They don't explain why. It's like you just do it. It's just normal, right? It's normal. And even like in the early days, if you're a vegetarian, what, 50 years ago, you're weird.
Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah, I get that sometimes.
Yeah, you must
People
get it.
like you're the only someone I meet that doesn't eat meat.
Yeah.
This is something new.
Yeah. Especially in that community, right? Yeah. I get it with me because honestly, it's like a lot of ethnicities as well.
Yeah.
There's no ethnicity that doesn't eat animals, right? No. Most of them. No, they eat chicken and beef and lamb, I think. So it all has to be halal. So it has to be slaughtered in a particular way, and it's something that no one is encouraged to do at all. Like when you go to the supermarket, when you turn on the TV, everyone's telling you to eat more and more and more, right? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So it's pretty much up to people like us who are really against animal abuse to, first of all, like not pay them to do it, and then second is to speak about it as well, whenever you have the chance. But yeah, cool. Thank you so much for having a conversation, girls. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers.